Hey besties, welcome back to Two Besties, One Brain Cell. I'm your host, Cara, and today I'm joined by Brenda.
Hi
guys! Brenda is a marketing manager and serial entrepreneur. You might have seen her on Instagram giving career advice, or maybe on TikTok. So yeah, I've just brought Brenda on for a little chat about careers and life and dating and
all the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So to start things off, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what you do?
Okay. So I do a whole bunch of things, but if I were to sum up what I do in like a day-to-day, so I work in corporate 9 to 5 within marketing, working in tech at the moment, and I also run 2 businesses after hours with teams. So one of them is a career coaching business where we do a lot of resume writing. We help young professionals prepare for interviews. And the other business is a marketing agency, which is also end-to-end. So basically businesses that are looking for help in terms of setting up websites, social media marketing, content creation. So I do a lot of that. And then on top of that, just to add on more to the plate, I really love content creation. So as Cara mentioned, I'm on Instagram and TikTok, often just giving out free advice, whether it is to do with careers and businesses. And
yeah, I always see your like your little TikToks or reels pop up that are just like, they're really like bite-sized chunks of information about like how to perform well in interviews or like negotiate salary or like all that type of thing. It's actually really helpful, even though I don't work in corporate at the moment. I'm like, if I ever go back to job hunting, I'm definitely going to be scrolling through your page looking for advice. So how did you end up starting? I'm going to start off with, because you do so many things. You're like me, like 100 different creative projects on the go.
Life is never boring.
No, you're never bored, always busy. But how did you start the careers counselling business? How did that start off?
Yeah, so I think really early on into my corporate career, I found I had a knack for like applying for jobs, interviewing pretty easily. Like those processes were quite easy for me. And then I was getting a lot of friends just naturally coming up to me like, can you help us prepare for our interviews a bit more? Can you help just review our resume a little bit? And then as I started working full time, I had like younger interns and grads coming to me and asking for advice.
So you were like the superior?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And then at that point, I was just helping them out. And then a couple of them just kept mentioning, they're like, you've made us feel a lot more confident in like this process and stuff. Why don't you make this a thing? And I'm like, what thing?
What thing?
What do you mean make this a thing?
Yeah.
And then that's, I guess, it was always in the back of my mind because I did, like, we can get into it at some point, but I did have like I want to say like failed e-com startup like way back in the day. And I was like, that ain't my thing.
Yeah.
But then when I found this, I was like, you know what? I'm really passionate about doing this outside of work. So then I started giving more advice, and then the pandemic hit. So I had all this free time. I was living alone. Yeah. And I was like, well, I either do nothing and I don't know how long this pandemic is going to go for, or I just start venturing into this creative side.
It's so funny. I feel like all of these like businesses that people have created were all like born out of like COVID lockdown, especially in Melbourne, I think, because like I was pretty lucky to miss the first long lockdown, but people that live in Melbourne have been essentially in lockdown, like not able to go out and do anything for almost 2 years. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see like what came out of that. What kind of role were you in? Like, were you in a HR or like recruiting role or anything related at all to recruitment and job hunting?
No, not at all. And I think that's why I have been absolutely, even just reflecting on 2 years after starting this now, I'm really careful of like I've even pulled back on the term career coach itself, because when I first like just labeled that as what I did, I was like, oh, you know what, just throw the term around. But I'm like, I want to be really careful because I'm not in that HR and recruitment space. Whilst I've had heaps of experience in corporate and all these like recruitment processes, being in marketing, you just naturally learn the ins and outs of like how organizations work.
Yeah.
It is like, I want to preface like this advice I give is from my own experience. It's not like I'm taking HR advice and be like, yes, I know this in and out. So
yeah,
I've been
really you've probably just seen it like unfolding over the years. Okay, so what kind of role were you in?
At the time, so my background is actually in marketing, and I've always worked within marketing across a few different industries. So I started as grad, and then I went into product marketing, and then I was in a marketing manager role. Now I've moved more into the project management side of marketing.
Oh, okay.
But always within that marketing space.
Oh, so did you study marketing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's a cool what was I going to say? That's that's a good background to know. But then you started your marketing business later on. When did that start?
Yeah, so after I think we were still in lockdown. I swear we were in lockdown forever.
Yeah,
it's been
in and out,
an eternity.
Yeah,
which is a part of why I started this, to be honest, because like I said, living alone. I think a lot of people were worried. They were going through the pandemic, living alone is really hard. But when I found this online space and creating this content online, it was myself connecting to people.
Yeah, because you're socializing. Well, not socializing, but kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you're interacting with people online.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I live alone too, and I was alone for most of last year's lockdowns. And yeah, you really do have to find things to keep you busy and keep you connected with people. Otherwise, you start to go a little bit crazy.
Yeah, literally. So it was so good. But I reckon maybe it was barely 6 months after I started doing this resume writing, helping people prep interviews and helping people figure out their passions in their life around the career paths they take. And I built that solely on social media. So I never really did any official promotions, no ads, no nothing like that. I just built that business on social media content.
Yeah, from Instagram mostly?
Instagram mostly, because I was only very new to TikTok at the time.
Yeah.
Even though it was blowing up. And then when people saw that, I think a lot of young professionals these days, whether you're in corporate or not, everyone just wants to diversify income streams, right?
Yes,
you never want to be solely dependent on a 9 to 5, especially just millennials these days. It's
I was about to say, I feel not no one our age wants to work a 9 to 5, or maybe not that they don't want to work it. Yeah, no one. I feel not that many people are very passionate about their 9 to 5 as their sole goal in life. Yeah. Mostly, especially, I don't know. I think that tends to be more with women. Do you find that to be a thing, or?
I would say so, because I think, not to broach too much into this topic yet, but it's women have realized they need to be self-sustainable and wanting to, ensure that they have income, finances coming in so that they can take care of themselves no matter what situation they end up in. And I think that's a really amazing and empowering thing that we've really shifted to culturally. But I've definitely seen more women businesses start as a result of lockdown, which is something I love.
Yes.
And so 6 months after, I think just even my immediate network, seeing what I built on social media alone, I had more people coming to me and be can you help us launch a business? Through marketing, through setting it up, all this stuff. And that's where the idea came. Because for me, I typically I don't invest into starting businesses until I see an opportunity. I see someone's going to buy it. I see someone needs it. That's the reason I do things.
Yeah.
So when I had more of these people coming to me, even though I was working in marketing full-time in corporate, which I still do, I was always to my business partner now, I'm I don't want another marketing job. I'm already doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want another one.
Oh my God, can you imagine you spend all day working on marketing?
Hours.
Yeah, and then come home and do marketing.
No, please.
Yeah.
Which was really nice because how our dynamic works is he loves, even though he's in marketing full-time, he loves the marketing work.
Oh, okay.
He's happy to do 24 hours of marketing.
Yeah.
So then I really saw this need because I found a lot of agencies or other people I found they overcharge a lot, especially when you don't really need that level of work. So let's say I'm just going to take an example. There's a logo you can do free on Canva. There's a logo that you can pay our designers to do for a couple $100 versus there's logos out there that people charge $6,000 for.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And if you're just starting a business, you really don't need that $6,000 logo. And that's the message that I keep reiterating to the clients that come through. I'm do what you need at the time to launch a business, see where it goes and grow from there.
Yeah, because you don't really know how it's going to go. I think one of our last guests was saying the statistics for small businesses is something 90% of them fail within the first 2 years or something like that. So I guess if you don't know how successful a business is going to be, you probably don't want to be sinking that much money into it to begin with, right? Until you see if it's going to be successful. So yeah, that's good to think about. So you're working full-time and doing like both of these businesses. Yeah. How the hell do you juggle everything?
Very tired.
Yeah. With no sleep ever.
This will sound crazy to a lot of people when I describe what I do. People, and then, I've got people on TikTok, they're like, you're lying. And then,
TikTok comments are like just a whole different world.
Yeah, I'm like, I wish I was lying.
Yeah.
TikTok, yeah. I think it's because, like, there's so much anonymity on TikTok that people feel comfortable being like, you're lying. And I'm like, yeah sure. Like, what am I going to say?
I'm lying.
But I think the crazy thing for me is when I want something, and this is not just with career, literally just like when I want something in life, I will make shit happen. Like,
it's a good trait to have.
You make time. You make time for what you want to make time for.
That's true, because I guess like like I could easily waste hours like scrolling through my phone, and that could be time that I could be putting into, like working on something more productive.
Yeah, just like you're doing this. Like, I feel like people, especially since the pandemic, have really come to understand the value of time and the value of what you invest in and who you choose to associate with, what you choose to do, to make sure that you live a fulfilling life outside of what we knew before this, which was like 9 to 5, do your job. This is the path. Stop.
Well, I guess it was so different then too, because if you were going into the office every day, it really did take like a much bigger chunk of your life. Like people weren't spending much time at home. Now it's kind of shifted to people spending a lot more time at home, maybe with their families or loved ones, or like you just have a few more hours in the day to do like creative projects and all that type of stuff. So I've noticed that too. Like there's been a big shift in priorities for a lot of people of like what they're willing to put all their like time and energy into. But yeah, I just wanted to backtrack a little bit and talk about like your career, can I call it career coaching? Yeah, career coaching business. Okay. Yeah. So what are some of the main things that people come to you for help with?
It's funny because sometimes people are like, what's career coaching? And then how my way to best describe it is it's a little bit actually hybrid life coaching even, and sometimes a little bit hybrid like therapy. But all these are all terms I never want to be like, I'm a life coach, I'm a therapist, I'm like all these, but they kind of like melt into this like little thing that people come to me for.
Well, because you need like confidence to perform well in interviews, and like you need to like, I feel like you need to know your strengths and weaknesses, right? And like what like things you need to improve, or like know your self-worth and things like that. So I can see how like the therapy side of things would like really come into that. It's a lot of
confidence building. I find like that's what comes into a lot of my sessions. So typically they would come to like the common stuff is like, can you help me prepare for this interview? How do I explain why I'm leaving this job? How do I find a role that, is not so toxic and I'm really passionate about doing? Like, what do you mean when you say, passionate work that makes me happy? I feel stuck and I want a career change. Is this the right, like, that's the type of stuff I get.
They're like big life questions.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Oh my God.
That's me.
Oh, wow. Okay. I should have come to you when I was like leaving my last job. What do you say to people like if people say they hate their job, right? If they're really hating their 9 to 5, like what's your general advice for that?
Yeah. So typically how I approach things, especially in my sessions, is asking a lot of questions because whilst I have, I want to say I'm intuitive enough at providing a perspective that they need to be able to like answer some of the questions. I'm not there to give them step-by-step instructions because often people already have their own answers. They're looking for a bit of validation to confirm whether their thought and what they want is right, because it's the uncertainty of making the wrong choice. So when they do come to me being like, what if I hate this job? What do I do? So it's like, well, why? Is it the work that's not fulfilling? Do you have a toxic manager? Do you in fact love your job and it's just you hate the team you're working with?
That's so common, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like things like that where people are like, I hate it, but why? Yeah. Like, but why? So then when you realize, it's the manager I hate, so let's change jobs to a new manager. No, it's actually the work. It's really mundane and boring. I'm getting no challenge. Well, you need to move into a level higher to have more challenging work. Therefore, you'll feel more motivated.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
yeah, I think that was me with my last job. Like I was just so unengaged and like bored that I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I can't. Like I'd wake up like dreading going to work, and then I'd just sit there and I was like, this is so mind numbing. And like I would just sit there like, and all I could think about was like other things I'd want to be doing, like creative hustles and things. Yeah. One thing I saw you posting about a little while ago was talking about the fact that you don't need to quit your 9 to 5 necessarily to pursue like a creative side project or side hustle.
Yes.
So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I did quit my job.
This is my exact situation at the moment.
Okay.
A lot of people are like, you seem like you're doing so well with your side hustles. You really seem so passionate about it. Why don't you leave your 9 to 5? And my point to that is, and there's like a lot of new content that I'm posting lately around this, is your 9 to 5 can teach you so much and can give you so much that you can bring into side ventures when it's not stable enough, when you've just started out. There's a lot of pressure to get a small business or a startup off the ground. And I think people shouldn't discredit what you learn from the 9 to 5 around managing people, around leadership styles, around technical skills, but not to mention also the consistent income that you get. It's like, you know when your next paycheck is coming from, so that your side hustle and your side ventures is something you're truly passionate about. You're not like, I need to make this money, I need to get this client to be able to feed myself.
That's true, because I guess that would change the way that you're approaching your side hustle and probably burn out your passion for that in the end too. I've never thought of it that way. That's a really good point. Oh, wow. Okay. So then at what point would you say, at what point would you recommend people to leave their 9 to 5 job to pursue their side hustle?
Yeah. This, I probably think about pretty often, not only just for myself, but a lot of friends that I've known that have left their 9 to 5 to like fully invest as well. Everyone's circumstances are usually so different. So like, people have family money, people have savings, people have, things that they rely on there. Even if like their startup or small business like fell to shit, they still, have
like
relatively
money. Self-sufficient.
Yeah. So it's definitely very different. But typically for me, it's like, at least if this is my personal approach when I would be comfortable leaving, is if I could consistently pull in the same amount of profit that I would make in a 9 to 5 job.
Okay.
And it feels like a steady, like this is going to be steady. And I know that if I leave, I will only grow. It will only be better.
You're so much more responsible than me.
I'm like risky, but like risk averse.
Oh my God. No, I'm just like, nah, fuck it. I hate it. I'm gone. Because I always think like if I need to go back to a corporate job, like I can get one easily. Yeah. So that's kind of like my attitude towards it, but you don't recommend people doing that?
No, this is the thing. I wouldn't say I wouldn't recommend, but I think as well, if I had to think about it, all our upbringings are different. And the way that my parents have instilled the like fear into me.
Oh, the fear.
It's like a 9 to 5 steady income, high paying job is security. Yeah. If you leave that, everything is going to be a mess. Yeah. And everything's going to fall apart.
So you're like, can't do that.
I can't do that. And this is why, like, that's why, like, I think it's very different the way that, their parents raise them and the values that you have as well. Yeah. So it's definitely not a recommendation thing. This is my insecurity thing about leaving my 9 to 5 I think I didn't reach that point.
Yeah, that's definitely the more responsible way to look at it. But then I guess, so for like as an employer, if you were seeing like gaps in someone's resume for like time that they'd had off full-time work, whether that be for like their own business or for
like a break.
Break for traveling for study. Like how would you kind of navigate that in an interview if someone were to ask you, like explain this gap? Do employers ask that a lot?
Absolutely, all the time.
Okay. That seems really like...
intrusive.
Yeah, intrusive.
Yeah, it is. And I'm hoping, because there has been like a slight shift in corporate culture and even a slight shift in how people hire, especially as younger people come through and realize, there's new things between mental health and things that, just lots of personal stuff, why people have career gaps. Yeah. And, you're more careful with that. But, like old schools are like, why is there like 6 months there where you didn't do anything? Which is awful. Because it's like,
because maybe I didn't want to work for 6 months. Yeah. Okay, give me a break.
Yeah, no, like, it's really, so you never know what you're going to get in an interview. But my thing and my key advice to like to any client for any interview session I run is it's how you tell your story. Yeah. It's how you justify it and it's how you explain it.
So it's not what you're saying, it's the way you deliver it. Is that kind of with anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what would your go-to way be to explain that?
Yeah. So I would still lean into what did you do during the gap? So even if it took, you don't have to say, you took the 6-month gap was like a mental health thing, but you're like, I had let's say you had worked like 5 years in corporate and you're like, fuck it, I need to like I don't know if I can swear.
You can absolutely swear.
I'm like, I just need a break. You'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, you know, I wasn't sure of where my career was going at that point. I wanted some time off to reassess to ensure that the next step I've made in my career was the right step so that I could be at 100%. And that's why I've applied for this role, because I know I'm mentally ready now to give 100%.
Oh my God, so smart. You just fully spun that. This is that marketing background coming out. Wow.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, like an interview is like literally how you market yourself.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, okay. So, funny story. I think I told you this actually when I was doing your makeup as well. I mentioned this to you. So little sidebar. I did Brenda's makeup for a wedding like a few weeks back.
So good.
Oh, thank you. It was really fun though. That was one of the funnest like wedding jobs I've done. Yeah. Probably because I was friends with two of the bridesmaids. But anyway, I was telling Brenda that there was this job that I interviewed for last year, about a year ago, that my friend had actually referred me to. And I didn't get it because I could not keep my mouth shut in the interview, basically.
You're just honest. I love that. It's very authentic.
Too honest. Although, because at the time I didn't think what I said was that bad, but now that I think I've watched like some of your content and like also from my friend calling me after being like, Cara, what the fuck? I was like, oh, I probably could have approached that better. So basically one of the questions that I apparently didn't answer very well was like they were asking why I left my old job, or I think it was either why I left my old job or why I wanted to work for this company. And I said that I didn't like the culture at my old job, and apparently that kind of suggests that like you're going to cause trouble, or like that you're going to be like not like that you're going to have a bit of an attitude as an employee, basically. So how would you answer that better?
I love this one. I think, I do definitely have a specific TikTok around all the variations of reasons you could use around why.
Yeah, I think that's the one I saw, and I was like, oh shit, wish I saw that earlier. We're all about, in an ideal world, I wish we could just be honest and authentic around why we didn't like our previous role. But unfortunately, like, I don't know why, like, recruiters and hiring managers and people that just interview in general are like programmed to, you need to have the nice, pleasant answer. Yeah, well, I thought that was the nice, pleasant answer because I didn't want to be like, I left my job because I hated my manager. But so I was like, oh yeah, I just didn't really like the culture there, and I've heard the culture here is really good, blah, blah, blah. But no, okay.
So my slight tweak on that is that you don't even need to mention any negative.
Yeah.
You can focus solely on the new culture. So wherever you were interviewing for, you're like, you don't need to mention toxic manager, you don't need to mention old culture, you don't even need to mention particularly why you're leaving your current company. The only thing you need to say in that instance is like, I've done so much research into your organization, the values you stand for. I've had a friend that's only spoken highly of working here. This is a culture I truly want to be a part of, and that's it.
Wow. I'm learning so much. Oh my God. Okay, yes, that's smart. Trying to think what the other thing I said was. This one still seems a bit silly to me, but my friend had commented on the fact that they were having like all these issues with the system that they were using, like the IT system or the software or whatever that they were using. It was like a data entry type of job, I think. And I was like, they were like, what challenges do you anticipate? And I was like, I don't even know if I want to put this in.
It's up to you. I can answer it, and then you can.
I think they were like, what are they? It might have been like, what challenges or like, what do you think might be like difficult about this role? And I was like, I've heard that systems are a little bit tricky to use. And then they were like, apparently, they told my friend that referred me, they were like, apparently you're not meant to like talk shit about their like software systems. Apparently that looks really bad. And I was like, that would not have even crossed my mind as something that like you can't say. Because apparently it looks bad to like say something bad about like a software system, but then you get into a job and then all they do is talk shit about the software. They're like, oh, this stupid program, good luck learning it, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah. So why is it that you have to be so honestly careful?
Honestly, Cara, like, there is so much bullshit in corporate.
Yeah.
So much.
That's what I don't like about it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So like more of where my content is shifting to lately is not to like expose all the shit in it. Well, it is to an extent.
Yeah.
But I want to just help people become more aware of how to navigate things, how to say things professionally, like how to bullshit better.
Yeah, because you really do have to, like, you can't be completely, well, maybe I think once you're in a job, like, and depending on, like, the culture of the job that you're in and your team and your manager, you can be a bit more candid, but
yes. In the first instance, in an interview,
well, interviews you can't be too candid.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. But it is. Yeah, because because it's really like a set of people, and not to say like, you know, all recruitment teams and HR teams are like this, but their job is to, like, you know, hear the professional, pleasant answer, and that's it. Yeah. Which, you know, and you know what, like, I would say more newer organizations and startup cultures, it's not like that. You actually are rewarded for being candid and honest and authentic. Yeah. But if you're going for those like mid to large organizations who still have so much processes, so much bureaucracy, you do have to bullshit. Yeah. So in that instance, it's you talking, well, not even talking shit, but being honest around what you heard is one, kind of does look bad on your friend. He was probably being honest to you and didn't realize it would be talked about in interview. But in those instances, where I would recommend is like, never do something that is actually a problem for them. Because then they're like, oh fuck, she's already like thinking XYZ, she's already coming in with this mindset. That's not a good thing to come and start a job with, because they want you to be like, oh great, this place is amazing. So when it's almost like a, you know, when like you hit a nerve with someone and someone's triggered by something you said and they instantly get defensive. Yeah. That's almost the same as this. It's like the whole organization has gotten defensive out of a nerve you've hit.
I feel like, well, I guess as a recruiter too, you'd be trained to look out for like traits or like things that people say that tend to lead to like issues down the track, right? So probably if someone is like talking shit in an interview, it probably suggests that they're not going to keep their mouth shut about things later on, which you know what, true. So it's fine.
So in that specific example, I would always pick a challenge where
like something you can grow into in the role. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's like a challenge where it's like, it could be like an authentic weakness. Like I'm constantly very honest about the fact that I'm really bad at data and Excel. Like I'm awful, but it's something that I'm constantly learning. Yeah. Like you always got to do the positive mindset spin.
Yeah. I don't even remember if that was the question, but it was just something along those lines. But okay, good to know. So if anyone's listening, don't make the same mistakes I did. Luckily, I don't think I wanted the job that badly anyway, so it was fine. But like,
they didn't deserve me.
Yeah, they didn't deserve me. All right. So why don't we? Were there any other questions from your Instagram that we should like cover in this kind of section before we move on to dating talk?
There was one around changing careers, which I do get pretty often actually. Like sometimes you know, people are deep into like a finance career or like a law career, or else don't feel scared when I say this.
I know.
But they're sort of like, you know what, like I want to try HR, I want to try something else, like and then you just think, like, especially the more years you accumulate, you're like, oh shit, like do I have to start again and stuff like that. So I always like the analogy, if it's called an analogy, is always like, you know, when you go to uni and you're like a few years deep into your course and you're like, oh fuck, this was not the right one. There's always that thing around transferring units and getting credits for things that are like similar to different subjects. I would say you need to pick apart,
everyone does that.
You need to pick apart your current career versus your new career path as much as possible and see where the most transferable skills are.
See if there's any overlap.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would use that and then leverage that and then highlight it for the switch. So I had a client once, and she is a lawyer, and she was very interested in transitioning into a sort of like HR space.
So random.
Yeah. I've actually very interestingly had a few lawyers being like, I want to get into HR. I'm not exactly sure why. It's more than one. It's been a few.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe I should just sack the law degree and jump right into a HR degree now.
I'll try to recall why. But when that happened, I was sort of like, well, what are the things that are in law that are transferable for HR? Like you can, you know, manage stakeholders. You can, you know, how to proofread things very well.
You're good at reading.
Like you can work in a corporate environment. Like honestly, things in HR and like, you know, yes, law, there's a lot more like technical things to it, but like the skills and the practical skills that you have to be able to work in 9 to 5, like it's very similar.
I feel like a lot of corporate learning. It's just it's all very similar. Like once you're in a company, like for companies that I've worked for, people would move around departments a lot because I think a lot of the time you don't actually know what role you want until you see what roles there are available within a company. So yeah, I guess what advice would you give to people that are like young, maybe people that are just graduating high school or like still in the early days of their uni or career, with just like finding their way?
Yeah. Never overinvest into something too long if you're not sure. If your gut is saying, I don't know, don't just like if like 1-2 years into your law degree, you're like, don't think this is my cup of tea. Try to find other avenues to explore HR, marketing, finance, arts, whatever else, whether it's experience outside, chatting to other people, extracurricular activities, side hustle projects. If your gut and your body is saying like, oh, I'm not 100% sold on this, try to explore different opportunities before you've overinvested like 6 years into a law degree and be like, oh, I don't really want to be a lawyer.
Yeah, because that's a pretty common story. I actually know a lot of people that studied law and didn't end up being lawyers, funnily enough, or like a lot of people that did a double, like com law or something, and a lot of people don't follow the law path, interestingly enough. Which I actually don't even know if I want to be a lawyer, but I think I'm really enjoying like the study, so I think it's like definitely going to lead me on the right path, whether that does end up like a career in law or in something else. But also I'm 27, like I've had time to like by the time I went back to study, like I was pretty certain that was a path I wanted to follow, whereas when I graduated high school I just went into an arts degree and then literally just bounced around like jobs for like 5 years before I went back to uni. Actually, that's another thing I wanted to ask. Does it look bad career hopping or like job hopping at the moment? No. Oh
my God, that is like my favorite. I should do more content on this. I love harping on about job hopping.
Because I feel like older people, can I say that? Yeah, older people have this like real like chip on their shoulder about like moving jobs. Like they think that you have to just like stay in jobs for like
30,000 years.
Yeah. Like what's with that? What if you don't like it? Like are they just happy being miserable?
Yes. I think it's because they're used to that. Like that generation has been used to, you stick at one, you grind your ass off and try to get internally promoted and try to level up, and you just won't, like it's going to be 10 years before you get a promotion versus if you job hop, right? And this is my thing. Like I don't know. One, I think I've been lucky because my personality is I get bored so easily. Same. I'm bored. Yeah. Like once I'm bored, I'm gone.
Yeah. Like, same. If I'm bored at a job, like there is no way in hell you can get me to sit at that desk for 1 day longer. Like I know. I'm like either give me a new challenge or I'm out of here. Yeah. So just quickly, do you think it's easier to get a promotion by moving to a different company than working your way up within one company?
Absolutely. I would not have gotten to the title, the pay, and the level I'm at had I not jumped like 4 to 5 jobs since I started my corporate career.
Really? Okay. Talk a little bit more about that.
I don't know if it's just this point in my life is a little bit different because the job that I'm in now is in a new industry, and even though it's in marketing, it's more project management. Yeah. And it's in tech, which is confusing the frick out of me. I don't understand. Challenge. Yeah, I know. It is like every day I wake up, I'm like, what? I don't understand
everyone
anything.
I know that works for tech companies, like that, I swear no one in tech companies knows what they're doing. No one knows.
I literally this is so dumb, but like
no one can explain what they do either.
But this is like the most embarrassing thing. I was reading I was in a meeting with like very, very techie people. Yeah. And I was reading something out loud, and you know the like HTML? Yeah. I was like, oh, something like Hotmail, and I was like, did I just say that out loud? To like super senior techie people. And then I saw, because cameras were on, and then so they were just like they were so nice and no one said anything. And then,
but you thought about that for like the next 3 months.
I ended the Zoom, I'm like, I'm gonna have to quit.
Like, I can never go to work again.
It's over. Like they're really
what does HTML stand for? Not Hotmail.
Not Hotmail, that's for sure. Hypertext something. I just, see, I don't, don't I'm just exposing myself everywhere.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, too good. My word. Yeah. So yeah. You know what? And that is a lesson. It's okay to fuck up.
Yeah. Like, you didn't get fired.
No. And I was like, oops. And then
did anyone laugh at least?
They did the cute little, like, because it was like all guys in this meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And they just did the cute little, like, look down and smirk. And I was like, and I was like, that's very polite of them. And no one's mentioned anything after it again. I was like, so lovely.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, so job hopping. So what if an employer were to ask you like why you've moved jobs so much? Does that ever come up in an interview?
All the time.
So
every
what do you say?
It goes back to like my values around gaining the most experience as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say I'm bored. But what if you sort of look at my career today, it's not only just been within different types of marketing roles, but it's been in different industries as well. So like from telecoms to like insurance. So basically I've jumped around industries, not just roles. Mm-hmm. And my answer to that is starting out in my career, I really want to learn as much as possible across all the different industries and across the different types of roles, so that to every new role that I bring to, I know I can add value because I bring like a wide range of experience from all these different places I've been.
Which I think is true. Like that's not even a bullshit answer. Like that's actually true. Yeah. I was reading this thing the other day that talks about how people with ADHD, sorry, I know I say this in like every podcast because it's just like I read a lot about it, but people with ADHD often tend to have like a lot of like different careers. Like they'll have like because they get bored easily, so they'll job hop and like work across like all different industries. But I think that does like, even though it doesn't look very connected like on paper a lot of the time, I feel like there are so many transferable skills and like so many like different skills that you can probably bring to a role as opposed to someone that's maybe just like followed a really linear path. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess it's just how you spin it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I was like to put, and this is more for probably advice for people that if you have any like uni listeners and sort of like not high school, probably a bit young. Uni listens, typically interview processes these days. Back then it was all about like, well, what was your GPA? What was your like, et cetera, et cetera. But these days they actually ask more on like, what's your extracurriculars? Like, what's your job? What's your volunteer stuff? What's your, so it's definitely, I think kids have caught on to these days that it's much more about the grades because you actually gain the most knowledge and the most experience and the like problem solving skills being involved in like very, like a wide range of experiences versus just studying
an actual like work experience too, as opposed to just studying, right? Yeah. And I feel like some people aren't like that academically inclined. Like they might go to uni but might not necessarily get like the best grades ever, but they can be really great like at a job too. So how would you spin that though if you were to be asked about like your GPA or your grades in an interview and it wasn't amazing?
Again, I always go back to like my core phrases, just how do you tell the story? So if you tell an effective story, you can sell anything. This is like the marketing. Yeah. So I haven't thought of an answer if you have no extracurriculars, no other experience, no work outside of studies, and your grades were bad. That I haven't figured out an answer for yet. But it would again all be how you justify your grades. So I was working, I was supporting family, I was volunteering, I had side hustle projects, I was content creating, all these things. I spread my time across a few things, so therefore I have to sacrifice some of the time that I invested into studying. But as a result, I've accumulated all this stuff in my portfolio.
Wow, that's a really good way to put it. Oh my god, I should be writing this down. I'm going to be listening to this back later, like writing down all the phrases for my next interview. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, moving on now, I wanted to ask you about another project that you have in the works. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your speed dating night that's coming up?
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so many projects, and this is one of my like guilty pleasure passion projects, even though I have no time to do this, but I want to do this.
You're like, I'll make time.
I will make time. Yeah. I am like a huge hopeless romantic. I love love. Just love. Just, But modern dating sucks. It just sucks, right? Like painful. It's just a mess.
That's literally how this podcast was born. So, yes.
Trauma everywhere. Yes. And I just didn't remember it was, so I'm just going to give a little bit of context on how the speed dating and thing came about. But I am like low-key love being like a matchmaker. So right before pandemic, me and a couple of friends were sitting around and like the boys were like complaining around how shit dating apps were.
The worst.
Wait,
do guys think they're shit too?
Yeah, everyone in the world thinks it's shit.
So that's literally the worst.
Yeah. And then they were saying that what they really missed was back in uni, house parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you meet people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were like, it was just nice because it was like mixing social circles. Like, you know, you'd have a group and they'd bring a group and they'd bring a group and then you're suddenly all friends with each other. All these different social circles were mixing organically.
Yeah, organically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah. And people were like connected and talking. It was just nice. Like, uni was a nice vibe. It had like, it created a sense of community. So then, like, I was like, let me find a solution.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know, back in the day, they used to do these things called like mix and mingles. And back then it was like a little bit more, I don't know, it's not tacky or creepy. But you remember when like, they would have like fish bowls and they throw like keys in and then you pick out keys. And
yeah.
Like
a swingers night?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, someone did ask. They're like, is your mix and mingle like a swingers thing? They're like, no,
it's a little bit more PG than that. Yes.
Yeah. So essentially the core concept was I wanted to have an event where people from different social circles had the opportunity to mix with different social circles. But that wasn't clubbing.
Yeah, because I feel like the older you get, like the more segmented like your groups become, and they don't even become segmented, they just shrink.
Yeah.
Like your social circle shrinks down to like 3 friends.
Yeah. And then suddenly when all those friends are in couples and married, you're like,
when
well,
everyone's
shit.
getting married, you're like, what the fuck?
You're like, I have no single friends. Wait for me. I know.
Yeah.
Just wait. Just hold on.
Yeah. So you were trying to get that, the socializing going again, yeah?
So right before the pandemic hit, I managed to sneak in like this thing I called it, so charity mix and mingle, which actually sold out. Over 100 people came and it was done in a way where I had like agenda for the night. There was like charity raffles because it was for the bushfires at the time. So it was all for charity.
Yes. Oh my god, we went from bushfires to pandemic to flood to World War III. Fuck.
I'm not surprised we're all depressed. Like,
no, literally. Like, no one wants to work.
I know, it's chaos.
Yeah.
I'm suffering.
Yeah, we're all suffering. But sorry, go back.
So that's
bushfires.
Yep. So like there was a whole like agenda for the night. Icebreaker games, things that got people up and moving, mixing different circles, forcing people to talk to it. It was very cute.
Yeah. Did people mostly come like with groups of friends or just like alone?
I recommended try going no more than groups of like 2 or 3. So whilst, you know, the Melbourne scene ain't too big. So there were going to be groups that just, if you didn't have a group, you just knew people. Yeah. So a lot of people did just know people, which I think, honestly, one of the downfalls was I think some people wanted to actually meet more singles there, but because it was like, you know, some people stayed within their groups, it was probably too big, the event itself. They didn't feel it was as personable. So I learnt a lot from that event. Like, it was super successful. And actually, one of my close friends met his long-term girlfriend now. They're still together from that.
Yes.
So love is real. And it happens.
Say it again, I need to hear it.
Love is real.
Okay.
It happens. People find their people. And I'm confident everyone will find their people. Person. People if you prefer.
Yeah, whichever one you want.
Whichever one.
Yeah.
So learning from that, fast forward 2 years because pandemic, I couldn't run it again. And I'm just getting people constantly coming to me being like, oh my God, dating apps suck. Like, when are you doing this again? When are you, we need this. Yeah. I'm like, okay. Like, and then, I wanted to change the concept up this time and run it more like a speed dating event. I don't know if anyone's been watching like Love is Blind and like stuff like that, but I haven't watched
Love is Blind, but I watched Love on the Spectrum and they did like a little speed
I
dating.
adore.
Oh my God, it's such a cute show.
That's actually is exactly the concept I took it from.
Oh!
Yeah. Even though I knew I was going to be speed dating, I'm like, that's exactly how I want to run it. Where now the people that sign up, I did have an opt-in because some people do prefer just like one-on-one matches or they don't want to go to the event at all, but they're like, can you just match us up with a girl or with a guy?
Like Cupid
now. Yeah. And I am like, but then I was like, I feel weird about it because I'm like, who am I to say, yes, this person is going to. Yeah. But I'm like, you know what? I may just do that.
Do they fill out a little bit of like info?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I kept it pretty high level. It was stuff like, what are your red flags if you had to name one about you? What is yourself? Like, I'm like testing people's self-awareness here and honesty also. And then it's like, what do you find as a red flag or deal breaker in someone you're looking for? Stuff like that. And it's like little like things where I'm like, if I can pick something, I can match them, it'd be nice. Yeah. But I think the main goal is I do want to run this speed dating event because I realized literally, who am I to pair this person up with this person? I kind of want to just have them do it on their own and see if they feel the connection. Because in-person connection, I find, is so different to anything else.
Especially when you've been on apps for a long time and you're just sick of like matching with people and making a bit of small talk. It's like, God. But then you don't want to go out to meet up with them either. It's like
Yeah.
you just want to meet someone. Like you just want to bump into someone and meet them, right?
I know,
So,
right? Like,
yeah.
I'm at Woolies. Why can't my love of my
Yeah.
life like walk up to me and be like, I'm your husband?
I wish I was short so I could like get a cute tour guide. Oh, can you get that off the shelf? Imagine me trying to do that. I'd be like, can you get that off the shelf? Right in front of me.
Yeah, no, I would say still just ask the question.
Yeah. My intentions would be very obvious. But yeah, so it's a speed dating thing, like literally like with a table where you rotate people around.
Yeah. And I want to actually like, because I know typically it would be the guys rotating around, but I feel like, you know what? Guys have done it rough on dating apps too. Like girls too, but guys too. So I'm going to do it where guys get to have their set table and the girls rotate around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like a nice little, you know, and then, so how it'll work is, you know, I haven't decided how many minutes, 5, 7 minutes, chat, whatever. And at the end, it's the exact same concept as Love and Spectrum is, it will be a checklist of people, and then you tick the ones you want to see again. And if it's the same people that, some people may.
Yeah.
Why not? Shoot your shot.
Yeah.
And if you both ticked each other, you guys I'll give you exchange details.
Oh, so that's pretty much just the manual, like, matching algorithm.
I'm literally like, I'm in tech, there should be a better system for this.
Yeah.
But right now I'm going to manually.
No, I like a little piece of paper. It makes it feel a lot more like personal and cute.
Yeah.
Have you got anything in place for people that like date the same gender or like anything like that?
At the moment, no, but I would love to explore that. I'd probably run like a specific event for that, just so it's clearer.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking how like it would be logistically difficult to operate with like, where do you seat them? But probably for like the more mingle type of events, that would be like easier to facilitate. Okay. Actually, I just wanted to circle back to one of the questions that we got from your Instagram Q&A, which was someone asked you what you've learned from dating.
Yeah. Oh boy. Where do we begin? Trauma?
Not what have you gotten, what have you learned?
So something that I've definitely learnt from dating, not just about myself as well, but I hold myself to a specific standard, like the way that I communicate, the effort I put in. And sometimes I can unfairly put that expectation on people before they need to put in that effort for me.
Right, like when you're not like at that stage yet, but you still have that level of an expectation.
Yeah, because it's like I've cared this much, I've put in this much. How come I'm not getting the same? So I do that a lot without realizing. Like, you know, my parents tell me this all the time. They're kind of like, you know, people aren't going to always live up to your expectations. You can't hold that standard on someone when, you know, they might not. It's not nothing personal. Maybe they just don't care enough yet. They haven't grown to appreciate you that much. You can't just be like, you've done all this, so therefore they need to reciprocate and do the same.
Yeah, I think it's easy to fall into that trap, and like also just knowing that like not everyone shows things the same way that you do. Like some people are just not very expressive, or like I guess with effort it's different though. Like there is a certain point where you want to make sure that the effort that's going in is equal. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the time we do like expect people to love us the way that we love them, but people have different ways of showing things. But yeah, have you been dating a lot, like with dating apps, or what have you been doing?
So we have like a different dating concept every year. So
you and your brand.
Honestly, like people be like, you can't project plan your dating life. Watch me.
Oh my god. We are so different. Yeah.
So 2021's theme.
Yeah.
Project theme was dating with intention.
Oh, so you like I always see TikToks where girls are like, I've decided I'm going to go out there and like try to find a partner. Like you're doing that. Yeah.
Pretty much. It was like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to be curious. I'm going to invest time. I'm going to purposely look for people that are, you know, emotionally available. Wasn't always successful at doing that.
Yeah. Especially on like Tinder.
Yeah, I was like, oh, love an emotionally unavailable man.
Yeah. We do. We clearly do.
So I tried to, you know, approach it in the most healthiest way that I understood, approaching dating intentionally. But I think with that came like, I think it started turning into like a project for me where I was like, oh my God, I'm doing all the right things. How come it's not panning out the way that I'm hoping for it to?
because you were trying to manipulate people that have free will.
Yeah.
Well, not manipulate people. You were trying to manipulate the
Outcome.
the outcome of a situation with another person, which you really like. You just can't.
It's just it was not working.
Yeah.
So after 2021's theme.
Yep. What's this year's?
This year, honestly, I've finally not to sound like cliche, but it's the whole like live your life, meet people, see where shit goes.
Yeah.
And this is like I fully like I'm not even like intentionally going on dates. Even when people that whether I meet off apps or whether I meet in person that ask me to hang out again or something like that, I'm not even being like, yep, this is like to go somewhere. This is I'm gonna meet you, let's experience some shit, let's do some fun stuff. Where it goes, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, well, because I feel like with the initial date too, like if you go into it with an expectation that it's going to go somewhere, like you put so much more pressure on yourself and it can be really awkward. And I don't know, I feel like if you just go into it like, oh, let's just have like a fun date, like do an activity together, and then if you're like really vibing with them, then you can be like, oh, maybe I kind of want to see them again, and then just go from there. I think that's a good approach, especially if you're doing dating app dates.
Yeah, I definitely had this weird thing, which it took like some time breaking this mentality, but I was always like, what do you mean you make friends off apps? Like that's not, you know, I have enough friends. Like I don't want friends. Yeah. But then like it's, again, this is like not to sound too cliche, but the best relationships are when you become friends first and then you come from there, right? And then now I'm sort of like, okay, you know what? I'm going to adopt that mentality. I want to be friends with all these people that I'm seeing or not seeing or experiencing all this stuff with first. If it leads somewhere, it leads somewhere. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
But how does that go, like, with dating? Because I guess with dating apps, like, you're kind of, like, initially setting that intention that you're going to date, right?
Yeah.
So, especially with guys, too, I feel like well, it depends on the guy. I shouldn't generalize, but I feel like the majority of guys would go into like a dating app date expecting like something to come of it, and maybe not wanting a friendship, or like, you know, like those guys that it's like, well, if I can't like date you or if I can't fuck you, then I don't want to be friends. Like, yeah. So
there's men for the streets.
Literally. So have you had experiences like that where you're like, yeah, it'd be cool to be friends with them, but then they wait, are we thinking back to the story? Is this when you told me? I was gonna say, have you had experiences with guys where like you've thought like, yeah, we can just be friends, but then it's like they don't want to be friends?
Yes.
Yes.
Many. Yeah. But I think what that shows me is that because these days women, I'd say women in particular, are getting much better at setting their boundaries and determining and defining what they want specifically. I know this is what I'm looking for, and I don't know if some of them are listening, but there's been a few that I'm specifically like, you know, you have a cool vibe. I want to keep getting to know you as a person outside of anything physical, outside of getting it confused with, because I've realized too, like, you know how some girls, like, when they sleep with someone, they have, like, an attachment because of, you know, sleeping with someone? You develop
an emotional attachment, yeah.
I do that too, even when we haven't been, like, physical. Like, sometimes I can just get, like, emotionally attached.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, whoa. That's just, like, not where I wanted to go. Yeah. So I have to keep myself in check and always remember the boundaries that I've set for myself, which is, like, if I've said I want to experience, I want to have friendship, I don't want things to get physical, all that stuff really early, I need to pull back, because sometimes even though you say things to guys, they don't listen.
Yeah.
So,
like, I think that they can, like, they'll pretend to listen and think that they can then change your mind. I think especially when it comes to sex a lot of the time. Like, they'll go into it being like, yeah, that's cool, like, whatever. Like, we can just be friends, we can just hang out, but then they'll, like, still try to make a move on you. Like, if you go on a date with them and you're like, the fuck? Like, I thought we said, like, so have you've had that happen, I'm guessing?
Yes.
And
in some senses it's toxic, guys, but in other senses sometimes I think they're just hopeful, right? And I can't blame them. They're not bad guys, they're just hopeful, as long as they don't push the boundary. And I can, you know, they make me lose respect for them from pushing that, then it's fine. But it's really important where if you've set a certain level of thing that you want or a boundary that you want, that sometimes unfortunately it does fall back on you to keep yourself in check on those boundaries.
I think that's something I've like definitely learned as I've gotten older too. Like, I'm still pretty bad with boundaries, but I think I'm getting better at setting them and sticking to them. And like, I just wish that I'd learned that like
Yeah.
younger, you know what I mean? But anyway,
no, there's all these things when you're younger. We're like, oh my god, like I would have
Yeah.
saved my like self like a world of pain
yeah,
had I known.
trauma and
Yeah.
definitely. But in saying that, I feel like those things that you look back on and regret, or like situations that you look back on and you think that you could have handled better, like you just have to forgive yourself for. Like you have to give yourself some grace and be like, you know what, I didn't know better at the time, or like maybe I should have known better, but I didn't, and like there's no point holding on to like, you know.
No, but you know what? Like this is, and again, I never want to sound too like tacky or cliche, but it's your journey.
It is
Like every one of those painful little things, learning lessons, experiences, they really make up who you are as like the special person that you are.
Yeah.
Jay, you know?
Oh, so special. No, but it does. It builds character. Like,
yeah.
I think I've said that in like nearly every podcast. Something about like
Who loves a character building?
Yes.
I'm done. I think I'm built.
Yeah. I'm like, enough. Stop trying to build my character. I've been hurt enough. No, it's not only painful experiences that build character. I should probably say that. But yeah, well, I guess also if you were to like go on a date with a guy and then they didn't respect your boundaries, blah blah blah, whatever, like you probably don't want them as a friend anyway. So at that point, I think you can just be like, all right, next, yeah. So it's probably not the worst thing that they show their true colors early on. Actually, that leads me to a pretty good question, I think. What are some of your red flags in men?
Oh my lord.
Let me pull up the list.
Obviously there are many, not just personally, just like red flags in general that exist. But I think my top 2 to 3 that in like the minute I catch wind of it, I know will clash with my values a lot. And one of them is being defensive very quickly. Like, and being avoidant with difficult conversations.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
I'm just like, you immediately, like the hairs on the back of my like neck stand up. I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be painful. Because,
no, that like triggers my PTSD. Sorry, I interrupted
you.
No,
keep going.
No, because both of my exes were like that. And like, there's been a couple of guys that I've spoken to since then, and since them.
Since then.
They actually both kind of they're both I'm like, what
actually, yeah.
What was I trying to say? I don't know. Anyway, there's been a couple of guys that I've spoken to like since then, that have just like addressed things like head on, like just opened up like communication as soon as there was like any like hint of conflict. And I was like, whoa. What the fuck? Like, I was so confused. Like,
healthy communication.
Yeah, like it just like they just de-escalated the situation as soon as it became a thing.
I love that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I thought I meant to get angry. Like I didn't even get to get angry about this. Like, and it was just so strange. And now when I look back to like my exes that were really avoidant or like defensive, like you bring up like, you know, like. Sorry, I've just totally hijacked your answer.
I love this. No.
But like if you ever bring up like just a small insecurity with them or something that's making you uneasy in a relationship or like whatever it might be, and then they instantly get defensive and they won't give you like the reassurance you need. They won't talk it through with you. I feel like that is like how all of those like huge relationship problems that are from insecurities are born. Yeah, is from like people being avoidant about just communicating through like a small issue. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm gonna use this as an example because sometimes I'm like, I like to give people benefit of the doubt until like, you know, sometimes like I double down and then run this into the ground as well. But there was someone I was seeing and I didn't realize, but he just managed to trigger me so easily. And every time I would ask a question, he'd be like, but why? And then like instantly get defensive around things. And I was just at the time, I don't know, I think I was just like lost in it. So I just like let a lot of things slide.
Blinded to the red
literally
flags.
like what is it? Rose-colored
glasses.
Yeah, that was absolutely me. And I'm like that all the time. I'm very optimistic with people. I shouldn't be. I'm always disappointed. But it wasn't until the end that he literally admitted to me, I just like pushing your buttons and I know how to like push your buttons. I was like, that is the worst.
What a shit person.
I know. He was like, it's just fun. And I'm like,
I don't know why I'm laughing.
I know, I'm just like shocked. I was like, you're like, what? It was like,
what kind of like sick person like enjoys that? Like obviously like if it's banter that's different. Like I love having my buttons pushed if it's like banter. Like, you know, but not like when it's serious, not when it's like my mental well-being like that we're talking about. Oh my god. Well, he's obviously out of the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just like, and then when when like you're out of it and you reflect back and you're like, oh my God, it was just all red flags.
Yeah, yeah. It's always the second you end something, you can look back on it and like see every single flaw that like you couldn't tell, like that you were just blinded to while you were doing it. Yeah, 100%. Okay, next red flag.
This is specifically something that relates to dating apps. So like any guys listening, if you've got this as a prompt on your dating app, this is advice to just take it off. It's a huge turn off. When someone says, I'm just looking for a chill girl, chill, cool, non-serious, that doesn't take themselves too seriously girl.
Yeah.
It triggers me.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of shit going on. I'm serious about my career. I'm serious about life, my development, and I would hope I have a partner. Not that it's like can't have fun in life. I fucking love like experiencing random shit and doing crazy shit. But at the same time, I'm like, what are you working towards? Why are you living your life like doing nothing where you can't handle a girl that's non-chill? I don't mean like cool, fun girls. I love those girls. Yeah. But like what you need a girl to be like also doing nothing.
Yeah. Or even, like I think it could go like that way, or that they want a chill girl that like doesn't get upset over things easily and like, doesn't create like dramas and whatever. But when they say they want a chill girl, I feel like they just like want someone like submissive or like that isn't going to call them out on their bullshit as well. So I feel like either way that you look at that is actually a red flag.
And that goes back to this avoidant thing. Yeah. Where it's like it's because they don't want to have a difficult conversation.
Yeah,
they don't want to, openly communicate about stuff and work on stuff. They're like, no, just be chill.
Yeah, like just like, be chill. Like why are you always trying to start a fight?
Oh, I can't trigger
I'm not starting a fight. I'm telling you how I feel.
No. Can't.
You're starting a fight, actually. Oh my God, yes. Okay. And do you have a third one? Third red flag?
This one's a little bit more personal. I think it's because I am quite ambitious. I have had guys tell me before, which is like, and then sometimes I'm like, I do question, like, do I come across as too intense? But they do, like, some guys are like, well, you're a bit intimidating. And then that scares me. And then I had a girlfriend tell me, be like, you're not intimidating. These men are just,
like, you're literally, okay, like, as a person, personality-wise, like, the least intimidating person. Like, you're so friendly, so easy to talk to. Like, I feel like it's just, like, you're a threat to their ego. That's where the intimidation comes from. But, like, I feel like that's not even a red flag. That's just, like, a total, like, dud. Like, total, like, like, you wouldn't even go for them as a partner because you need someone that, like, what are they like? It's all these
just like
cliches.
hold their own. I want to just, like, I don't need you to be as ambitious as me. I don't need you to be more successful than me. But just let me do my thing without being threatened. Yeah, 100%. And like anyone that like describes you as too much, it just means they're like not the right person for you. Because do you see those like those tweets and those memes that's like you're not asking for, or you're like not too much. It's just like the wrong person or whatever. Yeah. We're really out here asking for bare minimum though.
Like, oh my God, me and my friend the other day were talking about like, so she just started seeing someone and she was like telling me about him and I was like telling her about a guy that I'm talking to, and we're literally just like like as we're telling each other things, like it's like we had to preface it by being like, this is like so bare minimum, but he did this and like, oh my God, and I'm like, this is painful. Like we're literally like oh, even like that thing before, like, oh, like I got a little bit upset about something and he talked it through with me. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Amazing. It's just like I tried to make his bed and he was like, oh no, don't. I'll do that. And we were like, yeah, oh my God. Amazing.
Honestly, I love women and I'm all about empowerment, but sometimes I think we enable. We enable this bullshit sometimes. We really do.
Like, we're becoming more aware. I think our generation, I think each generation as it goes, each generation as it goes has probably become, like, more and more empowered and more aware. But yeah, I feel like our generation in particular is really becoming, like getting on top of those things. Like, especially, like, well, maybe it's just my For You page, but every scroll through TikTok, I'm, like, finding out more and more about, like, the way that women are like getting better at setting boundaries, getting better at
knowledge is absolutely power.
Yeah, dealing with men.
And that's why, like, I was having this conversation with a girlfriend the other day as well. Like, I think sometimes people look down on what typically people say with gossip, or like, sharing personal life stories and stuff like that. But no, like, you find, like, when you actually look at it, when women share these stories, it's like you compare, well, what's your husband or boyfriend or partner doing, and you actually learn from each other how to like set better boundaries, how to challenge things, how to get them to like, you know, do more stuff around the house.
Yeah, well, because that's like a really powerful tool for people that are like emotionally abusive too, is like cutting the victim off from their like friends and family and like not letting them tell any details of the relationship, because if they start sharing those stories with people, then you know, people are going to be like, dude, that's fucked up. Yep. Literally. And like, so a lot of the time when you're in things like that, you don't realize how bad it is until you start sharing stories with people, or like you don't really realize like where the benchmark should be. Not just for relationships, but just for like life in general. Like same thing with careers and salaries and things, right? Like with everything, you don't know like what the norm is or like what you should be expecting for yourself, and unless you're talking about it with people. So that's why we love starting conversations.
That's it. It's really it.
There was just another question that I wanted to cover before we wrap it up, which was I think someone asked on your Instagram, right? So what is your end goal with everything that you're doing at the moment?
This is probably like a weird thing as like someone that's so organized and planned out and like, you know, seemingly has her life in order. I have never really had an end goal. I like everything that I do, whether it's jumping from different jobs or side projects or the way that I date or the way that I experience life, is like, if I'm happy in that day, in that week, in that month, that's enough. Like I plan ahead that far. And I'm like, the minute that I'm like, my body's not feeling it, I'm like, you know, mentally I'm not there, I need to change, stuff like that, I change it, because I feel like it's, you know, like I'm going back to this, like I said this at the start, where I'm like, we've come to appreciate time so much, and time is, you know, like, not to sound too cliche, time is the one thing you don't get back, right? So I'm like, my one thing to like, whether I'm giving advice to clients or to friends, whatever it is, I'm like, whatever you loved doing the most in that day, week, month, do more of it, and don't let everything else go.
That's a really good way to look at it. Wow, so you don't really have like an actual end goal. Your goal is to just make sure that you're happy doing
wherever it goes. Cool.
Love that. Okay. Actually, and then I lied. One final question that I like to ask all my guests, because I feel like it shows a bit of your personality. What's your coffee order?
Oh, okay. So almond milk changed my life. So
Almond
definitely
milk.
An almond latte.
Almond latte. Okay. Have you tried oat milk?
Yes, I'm still more of an almond milk girl.
Really? Sorry, I'm like to everyone, you have to try oat milk. Have you tried oat milk? Really? But oat milk's creamier.
I need to give it another go. I probably didn't give it enough of a chance.
Yeah, maybe it depends on which brand they use too, because sometimes you'll get one from a cafe that's a bit too oaty.
Yeah.
Someone gave me shit for that the other day, and they're like, what do you expect it to taste like? I'm like, it's not meant to taste like oats, it's meant to taste like milk, it's oat milk. I'm like, it's just meant to taste neutral, like milk minus the cow.
Milk minus cow, I love that. Sweet, but not too much oat.
Yeah, not too oaty. Does your oat milk taste like oats? No, thank you. Latte. Good to know. Oh my god, that's good. Anyways, with that, I think we will wrap it up here. You can find Brenda over on her socials.
Brenda.jpeg on Instagram and Brenda in Business on TikTok.
Yes, there you go. And you can find us on Instagram too, which is 2 besties, 1 brain cell. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and thank you for coming on the show, Brenda.
Thank you for having me.
You're so much fun. It was so fun. Okay. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Bye.